Hello, everybody. I'm Helen Vermillion, and I teach at the Dorothy Benson Senior Services Center. And today we have the four-part series on dry needle felting. And what is dry needle felting? Well, you take the wool from the sheep, and of course you clean it and everything. And after it's cleaned and washed, it's called wool roving. Okay, so it hasn't been spun yet. And you can pull it apart like this, and it's just a bunch of sheep wool. Okay, so what happens is when you take a special needle, and these are very, very, what do you call it? Painful if you poke yourself with it. And then you pierce it. The wool actually has like these scales, and they interlock. Okay, so and they become, it starts out big, and if you keep piercing it, the wool will grab each other and become pretty hard. Okay, and so that's what happens. Now, wet needle felting is when you take the wool roving and you use a soapy water, and it's like when you shrink your sweater in the wash, it just becomes really small and compact. And on this method, you can never take it apart. Okay, once it shrinks. All those scales have grabbed each other and they don't come apart. Okay, but we're doing dry needle felting. So with dry needle felting, what we're going to do is for this session, we're going to make little animals. All right. So I'm going to show you some of the little animals we can make. So this is a little creature that I saw an artist, needle felting artist, do online, and I really like it. So I try to make one myself. All right. And it's really hard. And this is a penguin, and he's got a beak. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see. I'll hold up a piece of fabric here. Okay, so he has a beak, and he has little feet and a tail, and he, of course, he's got little wings. Okay, and this can be an ornament. All right, but today we're going to do something really simple. We're going to start out simple because it can get complicated. So instead of the penguin, we're going to try doing a mouse. And this mouse doesn't have any feet, but maybe if we have time, we'll work on the feet. So you'll learn to attach the tail, and you'll learn to attach the ears, the dry felt method. Okay. Now, you don't want to let your cat or your dog play with these. It's not good for them. And these aren't meant for little children either. Okay, because the little fibers could come apart and get into them. So this little mouse has a pink nose. I don't know if you can tell. All right. So let me show you how we start out. You're going to find out that there's different ways to start this. And I just take, I don't want to use the wool roving to make the core. So I just take some leftover yarn. And I wish I had some white yarn I could use, but I don't. So I'll do this. And I just wrapped it around as tightly as I could. And then I take some wool roving, and what I'm going to do is just pull it. Okay, just kind of pull it apart. All right, just pulling it apart. All right, now I'm going to wrap this around. Okay, this is going to be my first wrap. So just wrap it around like that. Now, as far as the tools are concerned, you can buy like a simple wooden tool like this, where you insert the needle, okay, and then it just goes in here, and it's held by pressure. All right. There are individual needles, and sometimes they'll have a little handle on it. Okay. or you can buy ones like these, and this one has 3 you can insert in it, 3 needles. And there's one that has 1 needle, and these are replaceable, these needles. And the Clover brand has these, and they have guards on them. So when you press in, this is for the finer needle, and this is for the heavier needle. So, and they have, let's see, this one has 5 needles. So you can press in, the guard moves, but, okay. So that way, you know, you're not going to poke yourself as much. I'm actually going to use this one because, and this one has 3 needles, right? And I'm just going to poke it. Now, sometimes you need to like poke this about 600 times. Okay, we won't be doing that right now, but the more you do it, the tighter it's going to be. And just be careful you don't poke yourself. You will bleed if you do, because these are like little harpoons. I have this little brush, but I don't want to use this brush because it's kind of worn out and it grabs my fibers, but this is all I have. Otherwise, you can get foam, or like, this is just a piece of that plastic foam like thing, but you want a thicker one, obviously. But I just don't have one, and all I have is this. So I'm just going to put this here so that the brush doesn't grab my fibers. And we're going to go all around, being real careful not to poke yourself, okay? And what this is doing is it's pushing the wool roving into the yarn, and they're grabbing each other, okay? Now I'm going to see if I can go a little bit faster by using the 5 one. This one, I don't think the needles are, well, they are long enough. Okay. So sometimes for a larger surface, you might want to use the one that has the 5 needles. My needles on this might be a little bit worn out. I may need to change them because I've used this tool forever. But it goes a lot faster if you have multiple needles. So on animals, you want to start out with a core shape. And we're doing something simple today. So this is going to be the mouse's body. And they're kind of like an egg shape with a pointy nose, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to do the bottom here. I'm going to use this because I don't want to poke myself. So as you can see, when you do this, it pushes the wool in a lot. Now, this needle felting technique, you do not want to watch TV or anything else while you're doing this, because you really, really need to keep your eye on it, or you will poke yourself. You may want to have Neosporin or a Band-Aid handy nearby, because sometimes it happens. Now, they do sell like finger guards if you're really doing a lot of this. Okay. These tools, you can get a simple set. It's not that expensive, and I don't think this is that expensive either. And you can buy refillable needles, okay, needle felting needles, and they do come in different sizes. As far as the wool roving, you can try a sample pack. You can go online and get sample packs. Some for needle felting, it's probably okay to use any kind. For web felting, Some wool rovings don't really felt that well. So I'm kind of getting, so see, it's getting really small now. Now, I am going to continue to wrap another layer. Let me get this going here. Because I don't want any of that yellow mustard color yarn to show. And I just used acrylic yarn because that's what I had. Probably, you know, may have been nicer to use the wool yarn, but okay, so you can see why you're going to end up poking this about 600 times. It does take a while. Okay, so I can see some of that yarn color coming through. Now, I kind of did wrap this around this way, so let me kind of go at a slightly different direction and see if that'll work. May not. Okay. So you want to anchor it here and there. Turn it. Okay. We'll switch to this one, see if I can get it to go a little bit faster. Now you can make, if you look online, it's amazing what other people are able to make with this. There are some really realistic looking animals that people have made, like cats and dogs. And, you know, when you look at it, you think it's the real animal, but it's really a needle felted version. So it's just, some people are really skilled at this. You can also make shapes and string them up and turn them into necklaces or, you know, decorative things for a hat or something. Okay, so let me get this side going. And you can also take this and needle felt like a garment, usually a sweater or boiled wool. I'll show you that in another session. A lot of times, once in a while, there might be a wool sweater or jacket that a moth has eaten, and you can add a design element and cover that hole up with this needle felting. Or you can take a sweater or you know, like a boiled wool jacket that you're tired of wearing and embellish it with needle felting and make it, I guess you're upcycling it then, okay? Now, if you were using just a single needle and that's all you have, it just takes longer. And sometimes you might come across the needle felting machine. Okay, so I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that this might be the bottom, the back end of the mouse. It looks more rounder than this. So I'll work on this. See if I can make it a little bit rounder here. But the needle felting machine is really for people who are doing large sheets of needle felted stuff. And it's hard to use. You got to get the hang of it, because what happens is if you go too fast, you keep breaking the needles. So if you're doing like huge scarves or something, you know, maybe you want that machine, but it's not necessary. And this needle felting, you know, it's pretty worldwide, but usually it's done in the cold countries like Scandinavian countries or places like that. Okay, so I kind of have this shape. Fine tune that a little bit. I mean, I can keep going and it'll get as small as almost the size of that yarn ball I had made. And the reason why I had that yarn ball is I used that mustard yarn is because I didn't want to use up a lot of this roving. Roving's not that cheap. You can also get a sample pack and you'll get these tiny amounts of different colors. So you would make the base out of like one solid color and then maybe add a bunch of other colors on it. Okay. Okay, so I kind of have it rounded on the bottom. Now I got to make a pointy head, right? So I'll just take some wool roving and see if I can kind of make it into a pointy shape. And I've taken a lot. I think it's going to take a lot to do this. So I will, let's see, how am I going to do this? You want to kind of like cross them, you know, so that they interlock better. But I'm going to take this apart and cross it. So I kind of crossed it. Let's see if I can make a cone shape. Okay, it's kind of big. And I'm gonna bring it down. I wish I had that foam because this is really hard to do off the foam. But I'll show you what happens if I use the brush. I used to be able to use this brush, but maybe it's all worn out. And the bristles have kind of curved, but if I push too hard, if I go down too deep into the brush bristles, the fiber gets tangled up in there. So it gets a hairy mess. So I'll have to get some foam later on. You can also order the foam separately and the needles and the wool, but you can also go ahead and get a starter kit. Those are fun to do. You don't have to buy a whole lot of everything. Just Google needle felting, okay, or dry needle felting, and you'll find a whole lot. And it's fun to watch. It's fun to see what other people have made. It's amazing. You'll see a lot of animals, but sometimes you'll see like Christmas gnomes and Santa Claus and things like that. Holiday stuff. These would probably make good Christmas tree ornaments if you need some ornaments. Okay, see, remember how big that piece was? Okay, it's coming down. So like I said, don't watch TV or anything because you will poke yourself. The worst is like a movie with subtitles. You really poke yourself. If you must watch something, just watch something you've seen over and over several times so you don't have to keep looking at the screen and just kind of listen to it. Or maybe even like a book listen to a book or something. Okay, I'm just gonna kind of have to see. Okay, so I have this extra stuff. You can pull some of this out. You want to leave some of it so that there's a place you'll have fiber to attach it to the body with. I really haven't brought this all the way down to the size I want, but I think I'm going to go ahead and attach it right now. I probably should bring it down to the size, but let me go ahead and attach it and see if I can shrink it down with it on the body. So you want to have enough fiber and really poke it good. So it's very well attached to the body. Okay, let me take this guy. And what I'm doing here is I'm really going deep in there. Trying to get the inside of the head to attach to the body. And this is I think this is a big needle. So it pushes more of the fiber in there. Probably should have shrunk the head first, but okay, let's see if I can get the head to go smaller. You can also create pictures. You can needle felt a picture and frame it. You can also take like a wool shawl or wrap you have and needle felt pieces on there. Okay. Getting there. It has a hook right now. So I guess people in the cold country, they just stuck indoors because it's cold, and that's how maybe they came up with this craft. Today just happens to be a cold and rainy day, so it's perfect doing this. You see how it's getting really, really tiny? Shrinking down a lot. I think the head is still way too big. Probably a better idea to shrink that head first to the right size before attaching it. Patient. Okay, so head's still too big. Shrink that down a little bit more. So what I think I'm doing is pushing the fibers that are inside its head into the body. See if I can lower this now a little bit. A little bit. You're basically sculpting with wool roving. And it's interesting. Once you get the hang of it, you'll find you can really make some shapes and designs with this. Just takes practice. So see, I've gotten it kind of smaller. All right. I really don't know what a mouse looks like now that I think about it. So it may not be anatomically correct, but really pushing the fiber that's inside its head into the body. Can't see it, but you can feel it. Okay. Okay, it's a lot smaller, a lot better. I'm gonna go online, you'll see this one artist that does a lot of mice. They'll be standing and have garments on them. It's amazing. But must be a lot of work to do all that. Okay, now I'm trying to fine tune the. I'm going to attach a nose to this pink nose. So sure that's okay. Now, let's work on this part. It's sticking up too much, so we'll bring it down. And all you have to do is just poke on it. Maybe the head's still too big. Getting there. Okay. That side's okay. Maybe a little bit thinner here. So mouse is easy to do because it's basically this kind of shape, okay? And I'm gonna see if I can kind of manipulate it. Let's see. I guess the nose is too pointy. I think I'm not quite sure what they really look like. Let's do the bottom, clean up the bottom. Okay, it's pretty hard. I'm gonna see if I can clean up the bottom a little bit better. I think I need to replace the needles on my green machine. Doesn't seem to be pushing in the fibers very well. This guy, you can actually make dents with a single needle. You can actually make like little dent marks and everything. So you kind of have to be careful with the small, lesser number of needles. Fine tune this part. Still not happy with the head. Dent right there. I've got a line right there, so I'm gonna see if I can fill that in and fix it, make it disappear. Might not work. If you're around little children, do not, just be real careful. They don't have access to the needles. It really hurts. It's not like a regular needle. It has these hooks that reverse. And they really, really hurt. Okay. So I just need to fix the snout again. Maybe it's a little too pointy. I think it's okay. All right, let me just clean that up a little bit more. Push all those fibers back in. I think that's good enough. Okay. Now let's work on putting a nose on this guy. I think they have a pink nose. This one doesn't look like it's pink. It's kind of pinkish. Okay, it doesn't take much, okay? You just take a little tiny bit of the pink color roving. Probably should use flesh color. Let me see what that looks like. Okay, that's good enough. All right, this one you have to be real careful, okay? It's a little tiny piece. Anchor it down first. I'm going to use a single needle. This is where you can really poke your finger. Okay, get it anchored in there real good so it doesn't come out. Push it in. Okay, so see it's real big right now. And I'm going to take the needle and tuck it in. Tuck all those loose fibers. I'm going to push it in real deep. Okay, so it looks like I'm using a whole lot right now. We can make that disappear. Okay, so if I hit it there, it pushes in out. It pushes in those fibers on the edge. I'm going to push in more of these. Okay, I'm going to use this one. Okay, just concentrating on the center right now. Now I'm going to take this really tiny one, see if this will work. The big one is kind of scary to use. And if you push on the edge where you want that pink to end, it'll tuck those pink fibers in and define it better. Just have to make sure all those fibers are. So this is where you can get some really good details, and I'll show you what I mean here. So this is the head I started, and see how you can get some really teeny tiny details in there, okay? You can do that with this. You can just keep tucking it in. And if it's still too much, you just keep punching it. And what happens is you're just pushing in a lot of fibers. Now, sometimes if it's like super hairy like this on the top, I'll just give it a haircut. Get rid of those long fibers, okay? And then I'll just keep pushing. What if the nose is too big? I think it's okay. And if you push on the edge and put, it tucks it in. I'm just giving it a round nose. This in more. So far it looks like that. If you want it to be 3D, once you get this fixed, you can push on the white area around it, and it'll make the pink part stand out. But do it carefully and slowly. Okay. You can keep working on it later. All right, so that's the nose. I think that's the nose. Okay. All right. Now let's work on the ears. What do the ears look like? Oh, the ears are pinkish. Okay, this one's awfully pink, isn't it? You know what? I think it's too pink. I think we need a flesh color. See what I have here. Sometimes you don't have the right color. If you don't have the right color, what you can do is you can blend these. So for the ears, I think this is way too pink. So I'm gonna blend it with the white and see if I can get a lighter color. What you do is you just keep blending. I think I'm gonna need more white. Kind of eyeballing, just keep pulling and blending. You want to mix it up really good if you can. Okay. If you put it against the white, it looks kind of pinkish. Okay, I hope this is going to be enough for 2 ears. All right, I'm just going to make, I think they have round ears. So we'll turn this into a round ear somehow. Some round flat ear. Turn it over. So I always have this tail, so you have something to attach it to the body. Okay. Just anchored it by turning it over and turning it over. And now I'm going to try to, well, that's awfully big. Okay. I'm going to try to shape it. Okay, I guess if it's round, then it's going to look like Mickey Mouse ears. So kind of more of an oval shape. Not quite sure. And this is tedious, delicate work right here. Smaller needle. Probably work better here. Just flattening it out. And I can actually make it concave by punching in more of the middle. I think this is still too big for the mouse. Yeah. So we'll just keep making it smaller. You have more control over the smaller needles, single needles. So this isn't one of those instant, get it done right away kind of things. It's time consuming. If you rush, you're going to poke yourself. I think I shrank it down a good bit. That might be okay for that size. Yeah. Okay, now here's the hard part, trying to make a matching ear. I don't think I have enough wool here. Let's see. Okay, once again, anchor it, anchor it, anchor it. Flatten out. This one I don't have as much pink in there. A tiny bit of pink. I'm just going to put a tiny bit over it. If I can anchor it. Once you get it to kind of come together, then you can shape it. Yeah. So the first ear is probably going to be fatter than this one. It seems like it has more wool roving in it, but I'm not going to worry about it as long as it looks all right. This foam actually wears out real fast. So I would get the other kind that's more like a regular foam. These kind of things look like the packing material. So sometimes if you order something, you have the packing material, you can use that. Okay, I might have to switch to a single needle to shape it better. My first needle pointing tools before the Clover brand came out was the wooden one. And it looked like just a regular wooden knob, and you inserted like 5 or 6 needles into it. Then the Clover brand came out, so okay. I'm gonna indent a little bit concave here. All right, let's compare ears, see which one's, oh, still too big, okay. Gently, gently, gently. We don't want to poke ourselves. Okay, that's close enough. Okay, one might be fatter than the other, but it's close enough. All right, now where did the ears go? I think they go on top of its head. So this thing is going to be pink, okay? But we can cover it with the white if it shows up too much. I think it goes here, okay? So you want to carefully anchor it there. You can also make like if a child likes a favorite cartoon or TV character. You can probably make that. I don't know which way it's going now. Okay. So let me make sure it's on there good. Now, let's say you made a mistake. You can pull this right off. You just have to clean it up. Okay. I think that's good. And then the other ear. Spread this out, open this up. No, that ear looks a little bit too big. Oh, it looks like a rabbit. Okay, spread it out more. Look like a mouse. Yeah, you put the ears too close together, it's gonna look more like a rabbit ears. Okay, I think that's about the right position. So let me anchor it down a little bit. I'm gonna cut off the super long hairs. Then cover up any pink areas. White wool roving. Well, this part's not exactly pink. I might get away with it. Okay. Doing this. Looks like an Angora mouse right now. For the eyes, they actually sell plastic eyes. I don't use that. I just use embroidery thread and make little French knots. Sometimes I might actually take a seed bead and put it in there. Okay, so right now what I need to do is, I do have pink, so I have to cover that up. I can also shape the ears a little bit better by poking it some more. Okay, so far I've got this much done. Okay. And I'm going to cover up the pink areas. I can see the pink, but I need to shape the ears better. And so with the single needle, I can actually poke around the base of the ear and define it much better. So this ear might look a little bit better than before. Okay, so I think you can, if you compare the two ears, I defined it a little bit better here. Okay, it's on there better. So now I got to do the same with that one. And this guy is a little bit too big. I'll see if I can shrink it down a little bit. Okay, we're kind of out of time, so I'll work on this one ear off camera. So when we come back, I'll show you how I put the eyes in, but we need a tail, okay? And I might put some little feet on here, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so several things I have to do. I gotta define the ears, clean that up more, add white wool roving to cover up the pink around the ears. And then next week we'll do the tail and the eyes and maybe the feet. Okay, then you'll have a little mouse. So we will see you session 2. Thank you.